We are back.
We are back.
Been a long time, very long time. We've just been out of commission. But NBA playoffs, NBA finals is where we're at right now. We just want to talk about that. We'll touch base on a little bit of updates on the Bulls. Obviously, the Bulls are not in the picture right now, but the NBA finals, Denver, Miami, Game 1. See what happened with that game. Denver played exceptional as they've been playing all playoffs. Home record is undefeated. Jokić puts up 27-point triple-double on 12 shot attempts.
Wow.
It's crazy.
8 out of 12.
Crazy.
Wow.
This Denver team is complete. They got shooters everywhere. The passing is efficient. Miami had really good efficient passing as well too, but they didn't get a lot of production out of their top tier guy, Jimmy Butler. Jimmy didn't play too well, and they're going to need him to play efficient basketball to be in the contest. But they won. I mean, they lost the game. I would say they lost the game in a very, hard fought way. They didn't get blown out. There was times where the lead was pretty insurmountable. But Miami kept fighting. And that's Miami's culture. They're going to keep fighting. They're going to keep making it interesting. But Jimmy didn't play well, so I expect him to play better in Game 2. But what was your takeaway? I mean, are you surprised, like some people are out there, that Denver is in the finals and Miami's in the finals? Just the fact that we got this matchup?
I'm not surprised Denver's there. I'm a little surprised the Heat are there. I did not see that coming. But when you take into consideration Jimmy Butler, the type of player he is, the focus that he has in the playoffs, along with Eric Spoelstra and the coaching staff and the culture they have there and the work ethic, then it makes sense. But going into the season, I don't think anybody except maybe Miami fans saw that happening.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, it's very surprising. Miami beat our Bulls in the play-in. We was 3 minutes away from winning that game, but the fact that they was able to fight out of a play-in, lose the first play-in game, win their second one, to avoid elimination out of the playoffs, and then, do what they did against Milwaukee with Jimmy playing exceptional, and then going to the next round and carry that over. So they've been phenomenal against New York, and then they go against Boston. And now they're in the finals right now, and they lost Game 1. That's the time this podcast is being shot. And they got the production that they needed to win this game, just not in Jimmy that it was. Not to single him out, but he didn't play too well. But he hasn't had too many games this postseason where he hasn't played well. So got to give him some slack there, in a sense. But. We look at Jamal Murray, man. Let's talk about this kid. This kid had 26 and 10. He's continuing his high level of production. And Jokić got his running mate back, from all of the injuries that they had in the last couple of years with Michael Porter Jr., and Jamal Murray. But, this team is extremely formidable. They'll be definitely hard to deal with even next season. But as of right now, they're 3 games away from winning their first NBA championship now. So, man.
I mean, do you think it's going to be a sweep or?
No. I just think Miami is too prideful for that. If they don't get one, I don't think Miami's going to get Game 2 either. I think that Denver will win Game 2, and I think Miami will make it interesting in Games 3 and 4. I'll probably say 6.
Okay.
I say 6, but I see Denver going up 3-1, and possibly Miami scrapes one out. But I think the format in the NBA Finals is different than the regular playoffs. I think it's 2-3. I think it's 2 games at Denver, 3 at Miami, and the next 2 back in Denver. So I believe those 3 game stretches that Miami will have could really help out them. Possibly. I could be incorrect on the format. I believe it was like that always with the finals. Like, it used to be like 2-2, 1-1-1, that kind of thing. But we'll see. I think it's 2-3, and then we'll see how that goes. But but I think Miami will try to take care of business when they get at home. Denver's just too hard to deal with. The altitude is what everybody says, in Denver. And they just play they play amazing, and they obviously they're here for a reason. You know, I mean, KCP and all those guys.
Yeah,
man.
they have a lot of guys, a lot of talent. They're loaded, damn it, from start to bottom. So it's hard for any team to handle them. I mean, they swept the Lakers. They did. They literally swept the Lakers. So
yeah, I mean, look, Denver got 5 guys in double figures.
Yeah,
and that's normal for their team. Sometimes they even have as many as 7 guys.
That's nearly impossible to deal with.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're getting production out of 5 guys on a high level like that.
Exactly.
That's impossible to deal with.
Exactly. But you got Aaron Gordon with 16 points. Mm-hmm. You got Michael Porter Jr. with 14 and 12. The man had a double-double himself. Mm-hmm. Jokić with his 27-point triple-double, as I mentioned earlier. And then Murray with his 26 double-double himself.
I mean, but for Miami, you could still look at it like on the bright side that 5 guys had double digits, but you're still, was it 11-point loss?
Yeah.
Still striking distance. And then Butler, I was just looking at his field goal percentage. He was 6 for 14. So it wasn't terrible. But, of course, Miami's going to need him to be more aggressive. Now, Jokić has the luxury of not having to shoot a lot of shots all the time because he has other guys that's scoring the ball. But Jimmy Butler doesn't have that option. He doesn't have that luxury to that extent. I mean, he has guys, but not like a full roster of guys that can really create shots.
Yeah, he don't have playmakers to the way that Denver Jokić has.
Yeah,
right?
so
Jokić is a playmaker, but excluding those 2.
So those 6 for 14. I mean, on paper, he still was like a good field goal percentage, not bad field goal percentage, but of course he's going to have to take more shots, and and that's going to just be a challenge that he's going to have to just kind of work into the series.
Yeah, that's true. I think Jimmy is going to have to be very aggressive for this series. Obviously, the fluidity of the offenses on both sides is very good in terms of just finding an open man and making rotations and moving up the basketball. Both teams are really good at that. But for Miami to make this interesting and to win, if they are going to win, if that happens, Jimmy has to shoot the ball 20 times.
20 times. Yeah.
He got to shoot the ball 20 times.
Yeah.
He can't. He's not Jokić. I mean, not that he's trying to be.
Yeah.
He's always been a very unselfish player with shooting the basketball. He has his moments where he don't shoot the ball that much.
Yeah.
He's just trying to work through the offense and that kind of thing.
But he can't do that with this one.
Yeah.
Not this series, not this time, in this moment. He's gonna have to be more aggressive offensively, and really create for his shot.
Yeah.
Probably pick up the load that the other team is. They can easily do that, but I mean, you're gonna have to play for a guy and a half.
Yeah.
Production wise.
That's very true. Very true. I mean, let's shout out to Bam Adebayo, man. The man put all he could out there. He had 26 and 13 tonight.
That's good. Hopefully that can continue though, because I'm not sure if he's known for doing that and having games like that. So hopefully, if next game Jimmy Butler has a game like that and Bam has a game like that too, and that combination can get them a win. I think this series is it's interesting because it could go either way. Like, it could be a very long fought out series, just because we know what Miami's capable of. But it also can be like a sweep or a gentleman's sweep because you just know the firepower that the Nuggets have. Yeah. So it's like, what's really going to happen? I think Game 2 is really going to be an indicator of like how this series is going to go. I mean, it's possible that they can even get blown out. Miami can get blown out in a game. Just how offensively gifted the Nuggets are. Especially if Miami, if your guys, your main 3-4 guys are not bringing that production. So
yeah,
we're gonna have to see, man.
Yeah. This playoffs in general though has been extremely interesting. The parity has been really, really good. Obviously there's in anticipation that you think the Lakers and Celtics are going to be in the finals because they're both in the conference finals, or one of them is going to break through. But the fact that neither one of them broke through, and just what's happened, throughout the postseason, from Milwaukee collapsing, it's just New York advancing, Cleveland not playing too well. It's just what you expected going into the playoffs is a complete opposite.
There's a lot of teams that surprised us.
Yeah.
By playing well or playing not so well.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, the Lakers surprised the whole nation getting swept. I mean, nobody really saw that coming. People thought they were going to lose the series but not get swept.
Yeah.
You know, and then even the Bucks. Like, what really happened was Giannis hurt, dealing with some injury there. Like, he was still putting up good production, but he wasn't able to just get his team over the hump, which seemed like it was very likely to be. But it just didn't happen. So there's a lot of things that we're wondering that happened in the league, man. You know, even the Clippers with Kawhi, the sudden injury. Like, I don't want to sit here and, like, question anybody's injury, because if he's injured, he's injured. But it's like, you know, and then even Chris Paul getting hurt. It's just like, bro, the collapse of the fucking Suns. So we saw a lot, definitely. It was definitely interesting.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Hard to put your money on because you just don't know what's going to happen.
You really don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, so but that's the beauty of basketball. I feel like not too many seasons in previous years have been like that, where you couldn't just guesstimate, well, conference finals are going to be this team and this team, or NBA finals is going to be this team and this team. Yeah. Most people got it wrong. Most people got it wrong, especially with the whole Miami thing.
Yeah. I mean, but a lot of people probably put money on the Nuggets starting this year. You know, that was a pretty fair pick. You know, the chances probably weren't that wild, like pretty close. Because the Denver, they've been in striking distance for the last couple of years now. So it was just like kind of about time they kind of got in there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Their chemistry has been flawless, and they keep plugging the right guys into their system that fits right. You know, they don't overstep. You know, Aaron Gordon, KCP, who won a title with the Lakers in the bubble in 2020.
They put all these pieces together just to form like a great, complete team.
Yeah, Jeff Green as well, too. You know, I mean, he's been a journeyman throughout the league, but, you know, he's a very, very solid player. Solid player. Hit 3-and-D player, you know, hit outside shots, and, very savvy veteran as well, too. Yep. So, I mean, overall, I mean, you're right. I mean, Denver was definitely a team that people could put money on. But I actually saw a spread that one of my friends showed me that I think some guy, I might have it wrong on how I'm quoting it, so I don't want to quote it incorrectly. But it's a guy that put $25 or something like that on the Nuggets winning the championship or going to the finals. And the payout was like $15,000.
Yeah.
So the odds were more like people didn't think Denver would make it. You know, because obviously we coming on the season fresh off of Golden State Warriors being a defending champions. So people was probably thinking, okay, Golden State can't go over there. And I get why people would think that. Then people were saying, well, midway through the season, Lakers got the trade acquisitions with Austin Reeves and, you know, not Austin Reeves, but Rui Hachimura. Like, you know, they get these players that helps with their offense and helps with their team chemistry. And they played exceptional. I didn't see the Lakers get into the conference finals this year. And the fact they broke through, I didn't see that happen. Because they played so bad most of the season.
Once they got those pieces together and they started kind of gelling quickly, that's the key. It was very quick because it was all within a season. They had a different team at the beginning of the season. They were stinking it up. They got like 8 different players. And had a pretty much a different roster, but they were able to gel so quickly, and it seemed like it was just kind of organic, even though it wasn't. But it was like it was well put together. Yeah. So I wasn't too surprised. They got to the Western Conference Finals. I know I'm not too surprised.
Yeah.
No.
I guess I was surprised because when I looked at who they would have to face coming in as a bottom seed team, you know, and having to, you know, when you're a bottom seed team, you don't have home court advantage.
Right.
And, you know, usually that's a disadvantage, especially for your role players. And that's where I was looking at. I wasn't looking at like LeBron and Anthony Davis. I was like, they're going to perform. Yeah. But who are these other guys?
Austin Reeves.
Exactly. These Rui. Like, he really put me on notice. Not me on notice, but he made me pay attention to him more because I didn't know that he was going to perform this well. Yep. You know, did I think he's going to get some buckets? Yeah. I didn't think he was going to be averaging 19 points a game in a playoff
reliable
series. Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be like that, especially what he did to Memphis. He was just carving them out. Yep. And then he continued that in the second round. Yeah. And that was the difference, man. That's what the Lakers got as far as they did. I mean, yeah, you can say that for any team that advances, that the role players got to step up. But the level of production that they was getting from those role players was definitely something as an upside. So I saw a lot of Laker fans that was like really disappointed. But if I was them, I would be proud because I'm like, dude, you guys were in the dumpster like midway through the season.
Not even playoff picture. Not even play-in picture.
Exactly. And the fact that you guys turned all the way around in that season, you got something to look forward to for the next season. But
yes, definitely. Yeah. I mean, this, like, looking at the East, though, like, there's a lot of disappointments, disappointing, like, teams and their fans that they're disappointed in their team, like the Celtics, for instance, the 76ers, like all the top 3 teams that you thought were, even the Cavaliers that you thought were going to be closer to or playing at this point are not in it right now.
Yeah.
And no shade to Miami because I really rave about the coaching and the culture of Miami. Like, they can make a team like this make it to the fucking finals. Like, it's amazing what they can do. But at the same time, that means that other teams weren't doing their job or weren't doing a good enough job to get to that point and beat Miami, because those teams should have, Miami should have got bumped out.
They should have, but you know what though? Somebody put this out there. I follow a YouTuber. I think his name is like Jimmy High Roller or something like that with an X. He got some of the best basketball content out there as far as like video and putting stuff together, right? So I'm not gonna say it like I said it first, right? But I've always felt like as we grew up, a niche that we always describe certain players. In recent memory, people haven't been saying as much. But we say that a lot when we was growing up was killer will, like kill instinct, right?
Yep.
The playoffs always expose players, right? They properly place players where they should be.
Yep.
You'll get the regular season like we had early in earlier episodes in our podcast where, guys was getting 40 every week. We was doing like the certified bucket getters, 40 points, 50 points, hell, even 60 points. People was getting these kind of points, right? And obviously, when the playoffs come, it's not going to be like that. However, when you look at certain guys in the league and you're like, yeah, you're talented, but when things get tough, what are you going to do? Right. And Jimmy really just pulled his will card out.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And a lot of these guys don't have a will card.
Yes.
That's where it comes down. Like, a lot of these guys are just, really good in their basketball skills, and they've been able to ride that.
Right.
But when you going against guys that are equally as talented as you,
on the pressure,
what is your what's the differentiator that you're going to use to win this game?
When the stakes are higher.
When the stakes are higher.
When it's coming down to the wire.
Exactly.
And that's the difference between Jimmy Butler and like the James Hardens. He's able to keep it going.
Facts.
Provide.
And then facts. And this is the stuff that we always raved about, where you can't just measure stuff by like achievement sometimes. Because on paper, Harden has a miles ahead career resume than Jimmy Butler. I mean, he got a league MVP. He was a runner-up for MVP for 3 years, excluding the year he won. I mean, so he could have had 2 or 3 of them boys on his resume, right? He got scoring titles on his resume. He led the league in assists this season, right? So his resume outside of a championship is exceptional, right?
Yep.
But we also know that guys like him, even though he had some games in the Boston series, where he hit clutch buckets and stuff like that. We get that.
All in all,
we know that he's unreliable in the playoffs.
Right.
He's proven that. Him and Joel Embiid, unfortunately.
Yeah.
They've proven that.
But also even on the Boston side.
Yeah.
And that's the side that I feel like people should be talking about a little bit more, and the Celtics should get more spotlight, because it's like, all right, these guys are still young, but they're not as young. They're kind of at that point. I guess next year would probably be a good clear indicator, like how they can be in the future. But it's getting there, like we're reaching that moment, like, okay, what's really going on? Is Tatum really the guy? And I question Tatum a little bit as far as his willpower. I think sometimes his body language is a little off to be the leader. I feel like sometimes his intensity isn't always there, and then even the fact about like just the Mamba mentality, or just having that willpower to get the win, just get the job done.
Yeah.
He doesn't always prove himself in those situations,
Yeah.
and it could be like something as far as like whining about calls, putting his hands up, complaining, and kind of getting out the play and getting out the game. And I just wonder about him sometimes.
Yeah, you know what you're saying, I actually 100% agree with. He actually has a lot of Zach LaVine in him. Right? Talented players.
Super.
Extremely talented players that have the ability to do anything offensively on the basketball court, right? But it's the intangibles they lack. They lack intangibles. They lack attention to detail, and that's what I'm talking about. Being able to say, "Listen, I've got to win this game regardless of what happens. I don't care if my shot ain't falling. I don't give a damn what happens.
Okay, they fouling me.
I will find a way to win this game."
That
type of energy,
Yep.
you don't see it from a lot of these guys. And I like who we talking about, Tatum. You don't see it where it's like it has to be. You have to find a way to win this game.
Right.
I know you want to get 40. Shot ain't there. How else you gonna find a way to win this
the game?
You gotta find a way to win, and that's the will card we're talking about. So for all those who, not gonna make this like a comparison thing again for this episode, but for all those who say like, well, didn't see Michael Jordan play, and they don't want to, like, when we try to say the killer will, and the will to win, that part right there, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. You make guys believe.
Right.
That
right.
you make guys believe.
Hey, then you put fear in other teams.
Exactly. Like
that Kobe, that Mike.
Yeah.
Like, man, this nigga finna hit the game with his shot.
Exactly. You believe it.
Just know it.
You believe it. Even if you don't want him to do it. Like if you're rooting against him, and in your head you believe he might go in.
And not just in the regular season. Cause I was gonna say people like Gilbert Arenas, but that's like regular season. I'm talking about another step ahead. Like you taking your team to the playoffs, to the finals, and then you're winning. You're putting the game on the line, the game on your shoulders.
Yeah.
There's not that many people, and that's why Jimmy Butler gets so much praise, because he gives that vibe.
Yeah, because the league is full of stars, right? You got a lot of stars, and this is what I was saying in previous episodes, that there's stars, there's all stars, there's perennial stars, like you always considered an all star, and then the next step up from that will have to be superstars. But I have a hard time giving that tag to just anybody, because I'll be listening like, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be looking for that.
It's the mindset. It's the mindset too.
Yeah.
Because like you're saying, the NBA is full of stars, so everybody knows they're good. But it's like, okay, but you gotta work for it. It's not gonna be given to you. You shouldn't feel like you deserve to go to the free throw line. You gotta power through that and still take control of the game.
You got to look for the basket.
Yeah, for the basket.
Even though you didn't get, even if you got fouled, you got to act as if you didn't,
right,
and try to finish and make the ref call that.
No matter what, I'm scoring this point.
Exactly, like this, I'm getting this basket, regardless of what you're trying to give me.
Yep.
The referee, like that's how you got to look at it.
Yep. And that's one thing I can say about LeBron James, and I know that's a big conversation, but just on the last play when he lost that series, I mean, they were getting swept, but game 4, and he missed the layup because the ball got held up, and he was kind of looking for the foul. But it's like, just rise up, just take control of the game.
Well, that also showed to me, now that you brought that up, is why people choose Kobe over LeBron or Jordan over LeBron. It's not just the stats, right? Most stats, LeBron has more than Kobe.
Yeah, but sometimes those could be empty stats.
Exactly. And what we're talking about is, in that possession that you're talking about, why didn't he just go for... It's easy to say this when you're not in his shoes, right? I get all of that. But what I'm saying is like, when the way they was playing you, the whole mid-range was wide open. You could have just stop, pop right there. If they would have gave anybody else that shot,
stop and pop.
Milky. It would have been milky.
Stop and pop is essential to any basketball player, especially if you're talking about a superstar or all-star, whatever. If you're trying to do a game winning shot, stop and pop.
Yeah.
You're trying to win the game. Like you're not gonna look for a layup.
No, because the thing about that is what you're saying is what we all heard from people older than us, and we saw ourselves. Right?
Yeah.
The referee doesn't call a foul.
Yeah.
Under 7 seconds left, like unless it's blatant.
And the thing is,
unless it's like I got smacked across my face. But they're not gonna call the marginal contact stuff like that.
The thing is the mindset. Why are you looking to go into the hole and potentially get a foul? You should already be thinking like I might go to the hole, get fouled, and they might not call it. So you should be thinking I'm trying to win this game the best way I can.
Exactly.
The best way I can.
Don't leave nothing to the referees.
Is 1-on-1 ISO ball and pull up in your face all net.
Yeah.
And he like at least try to. That's the best shot for that moment.
Yeah.
At least try the best option for that moment.
Yeah. The whole mid range is open. So when he drove too deep in,
bro.
And it's like they anticipated that he was going to do that, so that's why they got around him more.
See,
but my point I'm making is offensive. That's why I don't always go by who got the most total points.
That don't matter.
When I look at guys offensively, right, and I say who's the best scorers of all time, I'm going by offensive skill set, offensive prowess, being able to read what the hell you looking at, and not just saying this is what I want to do. Like what I'm trying to say is like, remember Jordan said in old videos we used to watch is like you take what the defense gives you. The defense is giving you this, master that, so that way you literally have zero weaknesses in your game.
And the thing is, LeBron used to be able to do that. Where he like even like his early Cleveland days, he was pulling up, like rise up. But he kind of got away from that when he got like heavier and bigger. He want to do post up, goes to the hole. Like ain't nothing wrong with that, but you taking a higher percentage shot in that moment is not a good idea. Or just trying to potentially go to the free throw line. That's not. It didn't work out. That like anybody that knows basketball knows you trying to win the game. Like you gotta grab life by the horse, bro. Take control of the moment. Don't leave this up to chance. You try to go to the hole with two people standing right there.
Exactly.
Bro, that's exactly what possibly could happen.
Exactly. That's what happened. And it wasn't that much. It wasn't enough to call a foul.
It wasn't. It was good defense.
Enough to call. It was clean defense when you put the slow mo on.
It was good playoff defense, man.
Yeah. So that's what we're saying. But let me ask you a question though. Based on who wins this championship, if the Denver Nuggets win the championship, Jokić is Finals MVP, where do you rank him currently and all time?
Currently, I can see him as a top 3 player in the NBA. I feel like that's just a safe starting point, and then it's debatable within those 3. But all time, I feel like his legacy is still getting created, and he's paving the way for his own legacy right now. So it's hard to say, but he's doing a good job, and he's going to be one of the top big men to ever play when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. I got him as, if he wins the title this year, top 5. But now, the thing about that is some people are saying, well, he's already top 5. But I'm like, okay, when you look at the 5, some people say I got, LeBron, I got the Currys of the world, you got, Giannis of the world. There's 3 players already. And then some people say I got Kawhi in there.
I wouldn't put LeBron, and I wouldn't put Kawhi in there. No. I mean, I put Curry, possibly. Giannis, damn near, of course. And Jokić. I mean, Jokić is better than Embiid overall.
Yeah, I agree.
Who else you got,
That's a good way to put it. I mean, I'll have to go with that and agree with you there in terms of the top 3.
Yeah.
In there, at least top 5 is what I'm saying for him. 5, if I really analyze it, with Kevin Durant's of the world,
he's better than KD.
It's a valid point to make at this point.
At this point,
yeah, we're not talking about historically. We're talking about right now, currently. Yeah, so you make a valid point there.
Yeah.
Now, what will it do for Jimmy Butler though? If Jimmy Butler happens to win a title, get the Finals MVP, which is more than likely would happen if they were to win.
He has to be cemented as an NBA legend.
Yeah,
he'd be cemented as an NBA legend. It'd be great for his career. His name would be able to live longer, because if right now if you're not living in today's time, his name might get not mentioned that much or forgotten about later in life. But if he becomes a champion, that will definitely make his name stand out.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. I would say that from a legacy standpoint, absolutely correct. I would say from a current standpoint, he would be top 10. It'd be hard for me because right now I don't have him in the top. Well, let me correct myself. He's in the top 10 because of this current playoffs that's going on, right? Mm-hmm. But before you go into the postseason, you think about, okay, certain players like the Lucas of the world, whatever, other players out there. I mean, Devin Booker's, and I mean the league is full of a lot of talent. Jimmy Butler goes through the regular season, and I just said this: the regular season isn't as important as the playoffs. So, from what is considered more important standpoint, right, on a scale, he outshines in the last 4 or 5 years. He outshines most guys that are top 5 players in the league, right? He shows up.
Yep.
But in the regular season, he just goes through it.
Right.
He'll put up 20 points. He just a borderline regular all-star.
Right.
And then he goes into
that's super
superstar level in the playoffs.
That's real interesting. It's probably not that many situations or players like Jimmy Butler. I mean, maybe back in the day that we don't know about, but in today's time, it's like he's like one of one in that way, because he's just like a regular all-star, average all-star during the regular season. I mean, you don't really hear about any crazy numbers from him during the regular season, but it's just amazing how he can really lock in and be your guy, the guy in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's crazy because it's a lot of names you could list, like countless names, like based off talent, like you're saying, he's probably outside of 20.
Yeah.
Based off talent. But I mean, maybe it's time not to just base things off talent.
Exactly. I agree with that, man. It's like everything in total has to count now.
Yeah.
He's made that a consideration.
And because it's not like we're playing 2K. You can have the Kobe mentality using your player. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a video game. But, you can use maximize their talent. But in real life, they have to be able to unlock that. And will they unlock that?
Yeah.
And not all of them do.
They don't. Yeah. And, so I know he would easily, I mean, he's in top 10 right now, but it would be like more.
Playoff, he's like top 5.
Top 5.
Like, this year's performances in playoffs, probably like within the top 5. Yeah.
Maybe right outside of it. Oh, no. He's top 5. It's weird. He's top 5 for the postseason. What I'm talking about is if he wins a championship, he's considered top 5 to top 10, at least top 10 on everybody's list. Because most people was making lists without having him even in the top 10.
I don't think
as far as top 10 players, because you could say, like, I'll give you an example. Like, somebody would say Curry. You're going to have the people that say LeBron, right? This is in no particular order. So you got the Currys, you got the LeBrons. Some people going to say, okay, I got Joel Embiid in there because he just won the MVP. And somebody say, I got Jokić in there. That's 4 right there, right? And then somebody going to say Giannis, that's 5. And then from that down, you got the Devin Bookers of the world. You got the KDs of the world, that's 7, right? So we got 3 spots left.
Yeah.
And then you got some people that, I don't know. Maybe not. Some people are gonna say Damian Lillard, or maybe not because he didn't play
based
well.
off talent. But it's interesting this year they have the Clutch Award that Darren Fox got. So
with the Jimmy, or maybe
I mean I think they were doing it like I think a lot of it came down to like fourth quarter points.
It did,
and I think Darren Fox was like number 1 player for that, but Jimmy Butler was like right there. So I mean, but yeah. So we're talking about clutch. Like, people don't talk about that. They just go off talent. But if you say who's the best clutch player in the NBA, I mean, you got to put Jimmy Butler top 5.
You do. You do. And I think he's the best two-way player in the game right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Offense,
I would
defense,
think
most
so.
reliable.
Most reliable. Yeah.
You know, every night he's gonna do it. You know, and he's gonna give you the defense, but he might lack on the offense a little bit, like today's game. But overall, his energy is on a high level on both ends of the spectrum there too. Yeah. So we'll see what they can do next with that. On another note, though, I want to throw this in too. July 1st, a month out from now, a lot could be happening around the league, man. Possibly.
As far as the draft?
Well, the draft,
yeah.
for like that's when like free agency opens up.
Yep.
So July 1st is when free agency opens up, and you just never know. Speculative right now. I mean, like it's early talks, but they talk about Bulls are kind of getting stuff ready to possibly sign Vucevic back.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think that's breaking news at all. But being a Bulls podcast and NBA content podcast, we definitely want to let you guys know that might be on the horizon for the Chicago Bulls. But we'll see what else they do throughout the off season.
And like you mentioned off air, picking up Vooch or signing him back isn't a bad idea. It's just player usage that we have a problem with when it comes to like coaching. So the talent is never a problem, but if we can just use our guys the way they're supposed to be used and make better decisions with that, then we'll be okay. Yeah, we will be okay. We'll be okay. So any other things that you want to add? No, I think that's about it. All right, the NSA Bulls Podcast, NSA Podcast. We back for an episode. It's been a while. Glad to be back. Yes, sir. Me and SB. And we'll see y'all, post game too.